Hello, everybody. Welcome to Life in the Weeds. My name is Alex Belew, and I am your host. Today is episode number 5. We've got Scott Witherow. This guy is a buddy of mine. I've known him for, we're going on 15 years now. He was my pastry chef and my garde manger teacher in culinary school back in '07. And the guy owns arguably the best chocolate place in America. He's the only whole bean chocolatier in the southern part of the United States. The guy's awesome. He's got a work ethic like nobody's business. His brain is just wild, and I can't wait for you to listen to this hilarious time that we had. I hope you laugh as much as we did, and you have a great time. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to the podcast. This is Scott Witherow.
But I collect a lot of old stuff, and I'm looking at all these old shotgun shell boxes. I was like, man, I'm gonna make a duck fat caramel packaged in like an antique shotgun shell box.
So that's where the market, that's where that
and so that's where
great.
that happened.
That's great.
But my favorite is the sea salt and vinegar.
Oh, that we sold out because I have them at my shop, and we sold out of them, and it's just such a great flavor combination. It goes. I did salt and vinegar French fries, obviously salt and vinegar chips. It's so good. I think people underestimate the importance of acid in most foods, and I would even argue that acid could be more important than salt in some ways. It heightens everything, and salt obviously brings it out, but a little bit of really good vinegar on a tomato. Oh man.
No. Yeah.
Blow your mind.
But that was after duck fats. And we sit down as a collective family group and talk about new products. And we know that salt and caramel go well together, but everyone does it, and I'm not one to do what everyone does. We know salt and vinegar go well together. So in my head, I was like, let's do a salt and vinegar caramel. Brought it to the table, and everyone said, man, most of the time, we're behind you. This time, sorry. And I said, well, I own the company.
So it's going to happen.
So we're going to do it. We're going to try it. And it's now the factory favorite. Like, everything here really happens kind of in reverse. Because when you go back and think about it, it's really we're making a gastrique. We're just adding fat.
Interesting.
And so it just makes for a very clean caramel.
For those of you listening, a gastrique is pretty much a fancy way of saying a sweet and sour sauce. Flavor it however you want, infuse it however you want.
Yeah.
Fig, cherry, balsamic, whatever. It's delicious for sure. I want to rewind all the way back. The name, you're not named Olive or Sinclair.
I'm not.
You are Scott Witherow.
I am.
So where your logo is iconic. I think I remember seeing somewhere that it won like coolest or best logo in the South at some point.
We have, I don't remember, to be candid.
It's got such a cool vibe to it. It makes you want the product before you even know really what the product is. I see it, I'm like, whatever that is, I want it. Because it's a fantastic logo. So where did the name come from?
All of this is harebrained ideas. But whenever I started ONS, I wanted it to feel timeless. I love old shit. Sorry for anyone listening, but get used to it. So old businesses tend to be two names, kind of like the brains and the money. But Sinclair was a reference to my grandfather. I mean, I grew up with a big green dinosaur.
Yeah. Do they have a gas station?
He managed all of them
Okay.
in Tennessee and Mississippi. And Olive was kind of a arbitrary name, but it ended up being my wife's great aunt's name.
Okay.
So it worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
How did you get to a point where you wanted to make chocolate for a living?
I got tired of the restaurant industry.
It's exhausting.
I mean, you've been in it. You know it. You know, it's every night, every weekend, every holiday.
Yeah, you called me last night like 7:30, and you're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm at work." You're like, "You're still at work?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm cleaning this steak. I got to get it done."
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know, I can leave it. I mean, and thankfully to wonderful friends and staff, you know, I leave it too.
Sure. It did not start that way, though.
No, not at all.
Not at all. I mean, it was.
I was here.
You were here, even when you weren't here physically, mentally, you were.
Well, that's still the same.
Right. You never really fully clock out.
No, you can't. And unless you own a business, you can't understand that.
Right. It's it's a daily grind for sure.
I mean, there are pros and cons, at least for me, to owning a business. Because, you know, end of the day, I guess payoff's good, but
Doesn't come without sacrifice.
even you know, your family doesn't understand that. Hey, why are you still on the computer? Why are you still, you know, on the phone? You know, all that kind of stuff.
You have 2 daughters?
I do.
2 daughters. And a beautiful wife.
I do.
And so,
And I'm thankful.
yeah. And you got a really cool business.
And my daughters are nuts like me, but they both skate, so that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. After high school, you grew up in the Franklin, Columbia area.
Yep.
Were you a good student in high school?
My wife says that I didn't even go to school, which I really don't understand how I graduated. Did everyone take chemistry?
I did. I did not do well in chemistry. I did well in biology. I did not do well in chemistry. It's got like math and stuff involved.
So,
Which is weird because you in a way are a chemist.
well, it's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
I mean, because food is a science.
Absolutely.
And now stuff, you know, makes sense to me. Like, I can't measure stuff in pounds. It's grams.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, but I didn't take, what are some of those math courses?
Trigonometry, statistics.
Nope.
Could you tell me what the Pythagorean theorem is?
I couldn't even say that word.
I don't remember what it is. I know that I've never used it since high school.
But yeah.
They made you buy a $100 calculator that now is on your phone. The hardest math problem I do is figuring out my taxes.
Yeah, I fucking hate that.
Yeah, well, 2 things ain't never going to end, death and taxes.
Yeah.
I was complaining about my taxes to my mom one year, and she said, nobody's making you make that much money. I was like, oh, well, that's all right. Appreciate that.
Well, no. And my dad's the same. He's like, look, you know, if you're paying, that means you're
making.
good.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as high school, I was in art classes.
That
most
seems
of the
fitting.
time.
Yeah. Were you did you like to draw and sketch?
I mean, I just did whatever was in my head, which is 2 monkeys and a yo-yo. But yeah, I was an art aide, 11th and 12th grade, and both years I got out at 11, so I only went to school from 8 to 11.
That's a sweet schedule.
Yeah, and then went to Taco Bell.
Do you still eat Taco Bell?
No.
Okay, good. You've made better life choices now. So after high school, you decide to do what?
My folks were like, what do you want to do? I was like, I really want to do, while in high school, I worked at the Sizzler.
Wow.
High class.
Very.
And so after high school, I was like, I really like working with food.
Especially this level of food.
Yeah. Which got more stories on that. But yeah, so, it's like culinary school would be, what I would love to do. And my dad said, knock yourself out. Meaning, I got to pay for it.
Right. What year was this?
96 or 7.
So the culinary school revolution had not really happened in America yet.
No.
Yeah. It was not, the Food Network wasn't super prominent. People weren't like.
I don't even know if there was a Food Network.
It was very minimal. I remember that. But there were some cooking shows, but it was not, it was like Emerald, right?
Yeah.
Bam on everything.
Yeah.
But it was not the revolution.
I don't even know if that was around then. But anyway, he was like, otherwise you can, go to college. I'll pay for 4 years. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to college. So I did, and just worked in restaurants.
Where'd you go?
MTSU.
Oh, yeah. That's where I went.
Actually, I started at University of Memphis. Hated it. And
Came to Mitsu.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Used to be way smaller.
And then I finished that, and still loved working food. And so my folks were like, "So what are you gonna do now?" I was like, "Well, I still love working with food." And I think I was working in Nashville, here. I can't even remember the name of the restaurant. That's why you don't do acid, kids.
Well, it probably doesn't exist anymore.
What? Acid?
Whatever. No, the restaurant that you were at when you were in college. Acid still definitely exists.
Yeah, it does. But still don't do it.
Still don't do it. No.
But yeah, so, it's like still working in restaurants, and, my folks said, "What are you going to do now?" I said, "Well, I still want to do food." I said, "Okay, apply to culinary schools." So I went to Rhode Island and Charleston looking at Johnson & Wales when Johnson & Wales was still in Charleston. Got in, yada, yada. Actually had an apartment that I hadn't signed the lease yet for it, but I had the lease on it. And I love Charleston, still do. But it just didn't feel right. So, and my folks wanted me to go there instead of Rhode Island because they wanted me to be closer.
Proximity, yeah.
Yeah. But I came home and bought a one-way ticket to Europe because I was obsessed with the Europe food scene.
That's not very close to home, Scott.
No, it's not.
What did Mom and Dad say about that?
They weren't happy.
Yeah.
But particularly England, the UK food scene, at least then, was so underrated to me. So I moved there and ended up going to Le Cordon Bleu, and I was in Italy for a while, England, France, Switzerland, all over, anywhere I could work.
Did you have a hard time navigating those jobs, not speaking the language?
No.
Why do you think that wasn't a struggle? I would think you plop me down in a restaurant in Italy and I would have a hard time.
When someone yells at you, you
can figure it out.
You figure out what you're doing wrong. And that was one of the things I loved about like working abroad, is that they don't hold back. I mean, you can't scream at your people.
No.
You'd get sued sideways.
Yes. It's not necessarily my personality anyway, but
No.
but there's always been, and it probably wouldn't have been there 20 years ago, but now anytime that you are trying to correct someone, in the back of my mind, I'm like, who has their phone out and is recording this conversation?
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, so, hey, your hair looks great. If you could not burn the noodles again, that'd be fantastic. They don't do that over there.
Or, I mean, I remember getting yelled at Nobu for slicing chives too big. And I mean, they were razor thin, you know, and this guy's like, you know, yelling at me. But end of the day, it was good.
Yeah, man, it makes you better.
Yeah.
It's character building.
I mean, it's kind of like, and this is probably terrible, and I don't spank my kids for the record, but it's kind of like, I mean, I got my ass whooped.
I got spanked twice, and I remember both of them.
But I deserved it.
Same. I almost burned down my grandparents' farm.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I got worn out. I didn't touch a lighter for probably 10 years.
But you do now.
Well, I have to now. Now I play with torches, man. It's a totally different, 10 top gas burning range. But yeah, I remember it made an imprint, right? And so I've only spanked my child once, and
That's on record.
Yeah, it is for sure. And I don't think spanking is bad in context. I mean, he had done something. He had stolen something. And it had happened more than once. And me and my wife were both in the room. We had a conversation about it. It was very intentional. He begged me, and I was crying. I mean, I was sobbing in front of him before I did it. And I understand the whole "this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you" thing, because it was hard.
I mean, I get it slashed out because we've never spanked our girls, even though, I mean, they're hellions. But reverse the conversation. Have you ever stolen?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get your ass whooped?
Oh, yeah. So I have 4 rules in life. Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, and don't be lazy. And those are my 4 rules because I did all those 4 things for a long time. And now I hate them. It's like I used to smoke cigarettes when I was in college. There's almost nothing worse than the smell of cigarette smoke to me now, because I don't know what it is, but after you stop smoking, it just becomes, ugh, this is terrible.
I mean, it's kind of like chocolate. I can't smell it.
Really?
Nope.
This whole place smells like chocolate.
To me, it smells like weed. And I mean that because
You're doing some CBD stuff.
We're doing a lot of it.
Right, yeah. And now we had this conversation. 30,000, is it bars or something of CBD orders a week?
Yeah, more than that.
That's
yeah.
an absurd amount. Is it one company?
Yeah, and we work with several.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I mean,
it's weird. It's all weird to me. Everything's.
Why is it weird?
Again, you're talking to a guy that barely went to high school, started this harebrained company, and now we're even though we're very much under the radar because we're all wholesale to retail, really.
Yeah, no one in Murfreesboro knew who you were when I brought your chocolate into the shop. And I found that to be incredibly strange. Like, how do you not know what this is? It's unbelievable. The product is fantastic.
And I don't care as long as we're, making money.
Yeah.
And the ONS family is happy. I don't care. I mean, it's not the Scott show.
Right.
For me.
But it's not like dumb luck got you here. It's a fantastic product. There might have been some dumb luck involved, but it's good stuff. You've worked your ass off to get here. And so I want to kind of get to that. So you went through culinary school. I don't want you to name drop, but just list some of the places that you have spent time working and learning your culinary foundation.
So yeah, I was in Nobu in London, and this is a fun story. So again, I was the prep guy. I was a commie, and so whatever anyone needs, they yell at me, and I prep it, bring it to them. One day, the cold app guy called out, and so they're like, Scott, can you do this? I was like, yeah. So I'm like, my head's down. I'm just going as fast as I can. And I see everyone disappear. And I hear this, that they've all congregated right in front of me. And I know the guy's voice, but I'm trying to stay focused. So afterwards, my job at the end of the evening, which was like 1 o'clock in the morning, was to ice down beer for all the actual chefs. And so I did that, brought it out. They get their beers. They're all talking, bragging, showing these things that they've got signed by Paul McCartney.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, whoa. I was like, that was Paul McCartney? And they're like, yeah, dude, he was right in front of you. I was like, man, I was so busy working.
Didn't even pay attention.
I didn't want to disappoint. So that was a fun one. I don't know, I've been at Highlands in Birmingham, Fat Duck in Bray, Alinea in Chicago. Loads of places around Nashville. When I was 4, one of my mom's friends turned 40, and so we went there for her birthday. And I remember getting the dessert was an edible Picasso painting.
Wow.
And right then, I said, I'm going to be in food.
That's wild that you remember that.
I ended up being the pastry chef there for years. But I also learned that you just buy those in.
You were making no edible Picasso paintings.
No,
man, what a letdown.
All you got to do is call Cisco.
4-year-old Scott is devastated.
Yeah. But anyway, I was like 3 paychecks back, and so had to leave there. And there was another small restaurant here in Nashville looking for a line cook. And so I was newly married at the time. Got divorced from that. Ha ha ha. But anyway, I'm line cook. The head chef's drinking on the line, so he gets fired. I'm 20 years old, and he's like, "Hey, can you do this?" And I was like, "Nope." I mean, you know how it is.
Yeah.
At 20 or 21, whatever, no. I'm just trying to learn.
I'm on the fry station.
Yeah. Like, put me on burgers, put me on, whatever. But no. He's like, well, I'll give you a 10 grand, a year increase.
Yes, I can do it.
And I was like, yep, I'm in.
Where's the library?
Yeah.
I'm down.
So, yeah. So I don't know. I've been around.
Yeah. Which one? What's been your favorite Nashville restaurant to work for?
F. Scott's.
I ate there one night when you were working there, back when I was in culinary school when you were my teacher.
Hopefully it was good.
It was good. And I went to culinary school before I really had a firm foundation and grasp on what food could be. Because, I was surrounded by Nashville restaurants at the time, which was Houston's, J. Alexander's. That was like, those were the places in Nashville that were busy. There, I think Deb had done something.
Not to, in any way, say anything negative on anyone. But I know whenever I came back from Europe, I don't know if it was the first, second, third time, but I interviewed with Deb at Zola, and she was like, 20 minutes, cook something. And I can't remember what I cooked, but apparently it wasn't good.
Did not get the job.
No.
That's funny.
Didn't work out.
No.
But that's cool,
everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
What made you want to start teaching culinary school?
Nothing.
No, yeah, I can't see that being the thing that you just wake up and go,
Nope.
I think you were the one guy that didn't fit in the program. But everybody wanted to be in your class.
But, so, several responses to that.
Money.
Yeah, they're like $35 an hour.
It's not bad.
So I was like,
In 2006, it's not bad.
Yeah, I'll take it. Second, we get into class, they were like, hey, here's, one chicken for 4 people to break down. And
You get a leg, you get a breast.
Pardon my language, or don't. But, I was like, what the fuck? Like, kids can't learn how to break down chicken.
Watching someone else break down a chicken.
Yeah. So I went to, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was super nice. The guy that ordered everything.
Yeah, I remember the guy. I remember that guy. I can't think of his name either.
But I was like, look, I need like 4 chickens for every kid.
Our tuition was also very high. There should have been no problem getting chickens.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, he did. And so he would order, chickens. And sure, we had a plethora of, broken down chickens. But, then, you also were able to learn to braise and, roast.
Right.
And stuff like that. But, yeah, that was weird to me. That was an off-putting part of me leaving.
Yeah, so you were there, was it 06 through 07? Or did you leave 08?
08.
Okay. And so you're working
No. 09.
09, okay. So So I've actually technically finished and graduated in '08, but they didn't let me walk until '09 because they didn't want to have more than one ceremony. Anyway, they put a bunch of classes together. Cheap for a place that by the time I'm done paying off my loans, it's $147,000.
Holy shit.
And I graduated in '08.
Is this, am I over my language?
Oh no, you're
barrier?
good. This is not FCC regulated.
Okay.
I don't pay off my loan until 2023. Graduated in '08. I mean, that's like doctor's level of student loan. And I ain't no doctor. I mean, I'm good with a knife, but I'm not cutting open anybody's brain. So you're working on O&S while you're teaching school. You're also working at F. Scott's as a pastry chef while you're working at school and creating a new business. You're in a new relationship, about to get married.
Yeah, and
did you meet her there?
I did.
Because she worked at the business at the other end of the school, correct?
Yeah, so weird. I mean, I got tons of weird stories. But so she was the one that probably walked you around to show you the facility and sell you
on the school.
Yeah. And so, as you remember, the kitchens were, windows.
Right.
And so, I don't know, classes started early.
Oh, yeah. They went all day, too. I mean, they were like 5-hour classes.
Yeah. So, after teaching for a while, I started seeing this, like, hot, skinny blonde walk around. So I would make sure, I'm teaching, whatever. But I was always looking for her. And so eventually, I met her, and I don't know if you remember this, but I would get y'all to cook stuff for her.
I don't remember that.
So, like, her lunches were provided by the school. And then eventually, like, on my part, I saw her desk and, saw pictures of her and her family and stuff. So then, and this is, how many years ago?
13.
Yeah, so I'm like, 30 pounds lighter.
You look nearly the same. Your hair's the same. You look the same.
I just cut it.
No.
It was down to here.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. That I cannot imagine.
But I walk in one morning, run into her, super awkward, because I'm not I don't know how to ask girls out. But anyway, I do. And we started dating and got married like 8 months later.
It was fast.
Yeah. But I found out after we got married that she had gone to HR, which is illegal, by the way, and found out all my information.
Oh my gosh. So she was interested.
Yeah.
To say the least.
So she was in.
Right, yeah.
And thankfully, she's still with me. And we have 2 kids.
I was telling one of my cooks yesterday a story about you teaching us how to break down a duck one day, and this girl wasn't paying attention, and it was like legs on, feet on, neck on, head on duck, and you propped it up on her shoulder, and you were brushing her cheek with the claw.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wanted to be in your class, though. You were the guy that was not a stick in the mud. You were cool. You had experiences that people were like, dude, holy shit, this guy's like done stuff, cooked for people. He's the cool, quirky, fun guy. I want to be in his class. And then there's this rumor that goes around that, dude, did you hear that Scott just like walked out mid-semester? What was that like? I mean, what? So obviously, Olive and Sinclair had started to. You got the ball rolling. Something had happened that
Actually, I hadn't done anything,
really.
but I just had so much on me that was like, I can't be the pastry chef at F. Scott's, teach, and start a business. And rewind, we went to, Aria, my wife and I, went to our pastor. Shout out to the Village Chapel, which is awesome. Went to Jim, our pastor. You know, we're getting marital counseling. You know, he's like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Well, you know, I am the pastry chef at F. Scott's. I teach at the Arts Institute, and
Which is now closed.
yeah, thankfully.
Bankrupt.
And I'm starting my own business." He said, one piece of advice. You know, he's like, don't start your business, you know, while you're getting married. You know, he's like, you can't do it. And I said, too late.
It's already going, buddy.
Yeah. So I just ran with it, and we've been very blessed, lucky, and hardworking.
So how did you tell me about your stone grinder, right? You've got this thing. Where did it come? What country did it come from?
So this is a weird story again.
Yeah, lay it on me.
So we started out with a Molino, which is a Mexican style stone grinder.
It's what Edgar uses for his nixtamalized corn to make his tortillas.
Yeah. And that's what I could afford at the time. But the melangers that we have now is what I've always wanted. And believe it or not, but I swear to God, this guy from Spain emails me out of the blue.
Doesn't know you.
Nope. I don't know him. Said, I heard you were looking for a melanger. Here's a picture. It's all in pieces, but I promise you all the parts are there. You know, are you interested? You know, and I emailed him back, and I was like, yeah. You know, what do you want? He didn't want much. So I was like, I'm going to take a chance. So, bought it. He said, I'll email you whenever the cargo container or whatever is set up.
Came across on a big ship, I imagine.
Yeah. This told me that there still are good people in the world, because he emails me and said, look, I told you all the pieces are there. They're not. He said, but, you know, I can refund you, or I can, you know, find another one. I think I can. I was like, well, yeah, just find another one. So months go by. He emails me, found another one. You know, it's all intact.
This is quite a process.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like going on Amazon,
No.
Prime delivery tomorrow.
No. This is months.
Yeah, you're a patient man.
And this is before I have to redo the whole thing. But yeah, so it sends me a picture and of one, but there was another one behind it. And so I email him back. You know, I'm like, hey, I know you said one, but I see two. He's like, oh yeah, well, there's two. If you want the other one, same price. So I was like, you know, I mean, I think it was like a couple grand a piece. I mean, that's before refurbish and all that. So yeah, so we bought them both. But yeah, one's Spanish from Spain and one's from France.
And so it just grinds the whole bean down?
Yep. That's all. I mean, that's all we use. It's kind of like an olive oil press where it pushes fat out, but then remixes with the cacao solids. And then we add pure cane brown sugar, and that's it. We don't use emulsifiers, thinning agents, any of that. In fact, I'm a tightwad, and I do shop at Kroger.
Yeah.
I mean, because we have to, right?
Yeah. I don't always need a 40-pound case of cauliflower.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need 2.
Yeah.
And plus they give you gas points.
I walked by yesterday, probably buying shout out to Yazoo beer / pale ale.
Yazoo's great.
But they had a new stand of another chocolate, and so I looked at it, and cacao wasn't even
An ingredient?
Nope.
What are they making it out of?
I don't know. It was like cocoa powder was in it.
Right. But not actual chocolate.
No.
I don't think we would be surprised, but I think most people would be surprised when they start digging into what's actually in the food that they're eating. It's probably not what they think it is.
No.
You know, a lot of times I'll see stuff in like the first ingredient's water. I'm like, you're paying for 80% water.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean, that guy's making bank.
Oh, absolutely, because chocolate's expensive.
Yeah. Or girl.
Yeah, guy or girl. So how did you, 10, 12 years ago, how do you figure out the process of doing this? I mean, is YouTube just riddled with these videos on how to break down a cocoa bean and make pressed chocolate that's consistent every time?
I have no idea.
Came to you in a dream.
No, I actually read books about it, and they really made no sense to me. Read them, 5 times, and eventually I figured out you've got to reduce particle size of the cacao, right? Have to have the cocoa butter, which is part of the cacao, and you got to have a sweetener. Most books tell you about emulsifiers or thinning agents, like lecithin. But if you've ever looked at lecithin, I mean, it looks like, an 80-year-old's smoker's lung. I mean, it's gross.
Right.
And then, so I just kind of pieced it together, and then a lot of things work backwards for us. So I knew we had to have a sweetener, and it was just a southern knee-jerk reaction to use brown sugar, pure cane brown sugar. Yes, it is. No animals are involved with sugars that we buy. But it turned out to work because of the molasses content, you get a slower sweet warm up. So you don't get that just upfront, sugar.
Yeah, your chocolate is not overly sweet.
So it's kind of a slow warm up.
It's not like a Hershey's milk chocolate. It's nothing like that at all.
Hopefully not.
No.
But anyway, that's how we got started. And then the next product was, I think, our bourbon brittle. And the guys at Corsair, who their main facility is in Kentucky, but they were moving one here, and we're all friends.
Yeah, they have some really good gin.
I mean, everything they do is great.
I haven't had anything else.
I'm not a gin person.
It depends on the gin. Some of it's way too
Actually,
botanically.
I like slow gin.
Like a slow gin fizz?
I just like slow gin on its own.
Oh.
But anyway, they had come by our old factory, which was about 1,000 square feet, maybe. And they were like, hey, we just emptied, I think it was 12 barrels. Do you want them? And I was single. And so I was like, yeah. So we brought them in. And
I thought you were going to say you put them in your apartment.
well, no. That was the idea. You know,
okay.
I was like, hey, I can use these as
kitchen tables, end tables.
Yeah. But some of the guys at work are like, man, you've got so much crap in here. What are we going to do with these? I was like, I don't know. Fill them with cacao. And so we did, forgot about them. And I don't know, several months later, we opened them up and then realized that,
You just made infused chocolate.
well, cacao's 50% fat. So that fat
Draws it in.
drew everything in from that barrel.
That's wild. You're like the guy that invented penicillin. Like total freak accident, but holy shit, look what we just stumbled onto.
And I wish I made penicillin.
Well, I'm allergic to it, so it really doesn't matter to me.
I don't even know what it does. But,
Apparently, well, I think it would kill me, but it might save other people.
but did that, and then one of the things that we're super proud of is our smoked brittle. So, like, getting out of the restaurant industry, the first thing I missed was going by the saute station and grabbing a handful of Benton's bacon.
Yeah. This stuff is super smoky.
Oh, yeah, it is. But super good.
Oh, it's delicious, but I mean, that smell stays on your fingers for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
But grabbing a handful of lardons or whatever. That was
$5.
That was my lunch for years. And so I call Alan, and when I first started buying Alan's bacon, guess how much?
How much
Per
weight?
pound.
Oh, price?
Yeah.
So this is what, 10 years ago or less?
Go way longer.
Way longer. So I'm going to go $5.95 a pound, $6 a pound.
$1.99.
Oh my God. And now it's 10.
At least.
Yeah, he's high dollar bacon for sure. I mean, you got David Chang repping him, you got Sean repping him. I mean, everybody's throwing out Benton's bacon, but it's
the best.
yeah, it's good. I mean, it's super incredibly.
At least to me, it's the best.
It's got a lot of flavor.
But so I call him, and we just start buying whole bellies, and we divvy it up amongst the crew here. And this is back when he would answer the phone, because he doesn't have to now. Called him. We'd buy whole bellies, and one day he said, "Hey Scott, I heard you got out of the food restaurant business." I said, "Yes, sir." "I heard you're in the chocolate business." "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, you ought to send me," and he called them cocoa beans, "but you don't correct your elders."
Nope.
So I said,
Yes, sir.
Heck yeah. So sent them to him. Months went by, didn't hear, so called to order some more stuff. That way I could politely say, "Hey, how are them cocoa beans doing?" He said, "Well, it's funny you called me today, because I actually sent them back to you yesterday." He said, "So you ought to get them, any time." He said, "But I got to be honest with you, I don't know the smoke took. And here in a minute, I'll let you smell it. But if you've ever bought Benton's before.
Oh, yeah.
The second the UPS man walks in,
You can smell it.
you know the smoke took, and that's how this is.
I had some delivered, man, I guess 2 or 3 years ago when we first started using it, Dallas and Jane, and it was, you touch the package,
Oh yeah,
and your hands are smoky. I mean, it just your whole body just smells like his smokehouse. It's insane. I don't know that you could put stainless steel in that smokehouse and it would come out smelling smoky.
yeah.
It's pretty insane.
No, and Jason and some of the other guys, they would actually hang the smoke bag on their rearview mirror so that their car smelled like that.
Ben's bacon
Yeah.
car. That's pretty intense. Do you remember your first year in sales?
Yeah.
How was that? Did you think, man, I'm onto something?
Again, I lean on my dad a lot. You know, while, as you know, starting a business, the pressure, I mean, even now is intense. But my dad was like, "You're good." Focus on cash flow. And so, yeah. But no, I remember it. But it was good. I mean, it's better now.
I would say so. I was reading a magazine. It was an article from like Gwyneth Paltrow, and she was repping your chocolate.
That was 2 months after I started.
I remember that. I remember reading that, and I was like, he's about to blow up.
It was weird.
It was very weird. I mean, I'm just reading. What magazine was that in? Do you remember? Was it Bon Appetit?
Could have been.
Because she's got cookbooks. I mean, she's a cook apparently and loves to do that. But they're talking about Gwyneth's favorite things, and she's like, I love this from New York, and I love this from this, and my favorite chocolate's Olive Sinclair from Nashville. And I was like, holy shit, Scott. How did that happen?
No, I don't even know. I really don't.
Did anybody ever reach out to you about that? I would imagine. Do you think your sales increased at all after that?
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine.
But yeah, that was really, and still is, a weird part of O&S. Like that happened, then it's like Southern Living, yada yada. Another funny story, antic. The Wild Boar.
Oh yeah.
Was the restaurant that I was trying to.
Oh
remember.
God, on 2nd Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up being pastry chef there.
No, that wasn't on 2nd Avenue. That was
No, it's
off 21st.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, when I left there,
It did come back to you though. You said it. You called it. You're like, it'll come to me.
yeah.
I figured you'd wind up texting me about 3:00 this afternoon.
Eventually, or 3:00 in the morning.
In the morning, yeah.
At like shortly after we started O&S, Food and Wine called. And they're like, "Hey, can you come to New York to do a dinner?" Which I mean, we had done, or I had done numerous times, and I always loved it. But I'm going to New York to do a dinner with Tandy Wilson from City House. And Kelly from Memphis. I had left the Wild Boar, gone to this small restaurant. Again, the guy's like, "Can you be head chef?" Sure. Or actually, no, then sure. And he was like, "Well, you can hire a sous chef or a co-chef or whatever you want." Okay. So I interview folks, and I remember this tall, lanky, long-haired, curly-haired guy coming in. So I'm talking to him, what have you done? Where have you been? I've been in Italy for the last however long. And I thought to myself, I'm not hiring this guy. He'll cook me out of a job. So anyway, we get to New York, and, I'm doing the dessert stuff. So, right, I mean, that's more or less done.
Right.
And so it's like, hey, Tandy, whatever prep you want, just give me a list. I can knock it out. So he gives me a list, and we're standing beside each other, and he was like, hey, by the way, do you remember interviewing me? And I thought, oh, shit.
Oh, my gosh.
I actually did interview, like, one of the guys that I admired the most in this town.
Yeah, but he had hair.
Well, he still does.
Yeah.
It's partial.
Partially there.
But
that's hilarious.
But he's looking good.
He's a very talented man.
Man, he is.
And a very humble man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's, City House is great.
I mean, you don't see much turnover.
No. And he's got a pretty solid pastry person as well.
Oh, yeah.
I would say Rebecca has made one of the best desserts I've probably had in Nashville in 10 years.
Agreed. And she also is such
Super
a humble,
nice.
Great person.
Yeah, her cakes are just unreal.
Oh, you can't beat them.
No, that's the texture.
Well, I would love to see her and Lisa Donovan go head to head. Because you can't Rebecca's wonderful, but you can't downplay Lisa.
No, she's incredible. I got to work with her at Husk. She got really mad at me one day because I think I took her measuring spoon. She's like, "Don't take my shit, boy." I was like, "Nah, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back down to the stable. I'm going to be back down here.
I'm out.
I'm going to go down here in the stables and just prep my pimento cheese. Please don't yell at me ever again." She's like all self-taught. I mean, yeah. she just wanted to be this person, and she made it happen. And now she's got a book, and I mean, there's a lot of really powerful women in this town that do great things.
And wonderful. I mean, and guys. I mean,
yeah. Nashville's ripe with talent. I mean, there's no doubt. It's
I mean, and you're included in this.
Little south, but I still feel like, I was talking to Alex Harrell the other day, and even Megan Thompson yesterday from Boston, and they all have, Megan's worked at James Beard award-winning places. Alex was Food and Wine's best chef of 2016. All these people have accolades, and they still said, the people that I look up to and that I respect and that I admire, I still feel like a small guy from like Dothan, Alabama. I can't compare myself, and I've often and still feel the same way. It's like I'm playing in the minor leagues. I'm in high school baseball, and I'm watching all these people play in the major league baseball. And I think that's the way you regard yourself in a lot of ways.
I think that's the best way to look at life. I mean, to me.
I think you just can't. You can always, if you realize that you're not the smartest person in the room, then there's always something that you can learn from everybody.
You got to be.
I mean, I've learned things from my 19-year-old hostess before,
Yeah.
She's teaching me things about TikTok I didn't even know existed.
I know what the fuck.
You're not missing out on anything, I promise.
TikTok is.
You're not missing out. So what's the future look like?
I mean, just we've rebranded. We've got, major CBD contracts.
Did that happen organically? Like, did they come to you?
Yeah. That's how most things go.
Yeah. Can you find that in Nashville?
It's all over.
All over. Is it branded with your brand, or did they kind of rename it?
It's co-branded.
Okay.
On the back. But the Tennessee Harvesters, I mean, they're doing huge numbers, and
You had to buy a new machine for the volume of CBD chocolate that you're making, correct?
Yeah.
So that was like a $30 KitchenAid thing on Amazon?
Yeah, it's about, I don't even know what time. Yeah, like 100,000.
Wow. So equipment in the chocolate world is not cheap.
No, not. Well, like when ONS started out, I thought that if I had something that made 100 pounds, that if I'm doing 100 pounds a week, times, I don't know, what are our bars? 750. Mm-hmm. That's at 2.5 ounces. Like, I'm looking good.
Right.
And again, my dad was like, buckle up.
How many pounds of beans are you going through a week?
About 1,000.
Oh, my God. So 52,000 pounds of cocoa beans a year.
That's in the slow season.
Wow.
Like, once we get to fourth quarter.
Oh, holidays.
Yeah, it's bad
Kills
news.
it. Will you bring out like the peppermint bark, cherry bombs?
Yep.
Yeah, all that stuff is delicious.
It's always fun, too, just to do seasonal stuff. We've got a new, like, limited edition bar where we try stuff out. And if something really sells, we move it into production. Actually, I'm talking to Brock about doing like our own version of a Nestle Crunch bar with Carolina Gold rice.
Oh my God, that would be fantastic.
But wouldn't that be fun?
Yes, that would be amazing.
And it's just, I love the guy, and he's been good to me, so good to me. But yeah, I don't know. It was just
that would be fun.
Another harebrained idea.
That sounds awesome.
But I text Sean.
I wish you had one of those now.
And he was like, heck yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really good. All right, I got a few questions for you. What's been the hardest obstacle to overcome?
In life?
In this business? There's too many in life to name.
Yeah. I was going to say that.
How long
it's
you
like
got?
Pandora's box.
No, just at O&S.
Probably too many to name, but employees can be hard. Not right now. Because we tend to act as a family, but occasionally you get that
Crazy Uncle Jerry?
Yeah, that, is doing drugs or whatever while at work.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. We got hit by the tornado. So
That's last year.
Yeah, that was a big setback.
And then COVID. Which did COVID affect your sales?
It did. I mean, it affected everyone.
Yeah. Well, not Jeff Bezos. Well, it did affect Jeff Bezos, but in a really good way.
I don't know who that is.
He owns Amazon. He made $75 billion last year.
All right, well, give me like a tenth of that.
I Googled I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast yesterday. They were talking about his yacht. It's 500 feet long, and his yacht has a support yacht in case his yacht breaks down.
What?
Yeah. You should Google it when you get the chance. It's unreal.
Shout out to my probably best friend, Dan Williamson. You're like him. Like, he is so nosy and wants to know like everything about everyone, which I love about him.
It's just so interesting to see how some people live. And I've never seen a yacht with my own two eyes, like in person. I've Googled them. I've seen them on the internet, but
I neither.
I'll never be in that world.
No.
And I mean, for this,
I don't want to be in that world.
the boat costs $500 million. That's just
Give me like 5
million,
and
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, I'll close up shop.
I'll just pay off everything, that I need to.
Yeah, we're moving to Jackson Hole if I get 5 million, and that's it. I'm gonna open a little biscuit store right at the base of the Grand Tetons, and we're just gonna live there.
Yeah, we're closed. We're done.
Has scaling been tough for you? How do you plan that process? Just kind of one thing after another, one foot in front of the other?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I never really expected O&S to do as well as it's done. But, I explained to, Jason and Paige and all of my fellow workers, like, we kind of got figured out part of the time, like going from, we have our own caramel line, but then we had, which, they sell every day, but then we had 10,000 a week to the line. How are we going to do this?
And to keep it consistent.
And then it's 30. But we did try to private label and have someone else do them. And no joke, within the week, we had folks come in here and say,
not as good.
They're not the same.
Yeah. It's
And
so
so,
weird what happens when you give 20 people the same recipe, you'll get 20 different recipes.
Yeah.
There's just something about, it's your knowledge. It's your baby. You got the foundational skill set for it.
So anyway, to answer your question, with the caramels, we're having to buy a wrapping machine because right now they're all hand wrapped, and we can't keep up with all of our bars. Initially, I really want to do it like the old-fashioned way, to where it was like that die fold and just a band around it, like the old school Hershey bar. But now we have a flow wrapper that does, I don't know, 2,000 in 3 minutes.
Wow. That's fast.
And so we're able to cut out, that part of the labor.
And people can come and take tours of this place.
Oh, yeah.
And they can see the whole thing happen.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty cool. All right. 3 things that you could not live without.
My wife, my kids, my parents.
Solid list. 2 things you use every day.
It's probably a bad answer.
There are no bad answers.
Oh, no.
It's your list.
My truck and Yazoo pail.
Those are solid answers. That's a good old country boy answer right
no,
there.
I'm just saying, instead of medication.
Yeah.
That's my, hey, I'm done with work.
I'm going to have a beer.
I'm going to have a Yazoo pail. And
Yazoo makes great beer. I'm a big fan of their Dos Perros.
I'm a pale ale.
Yeah.
All day.
I like pale ales. I cannot handle IPAs at all. However, I will say,
over them.
Bearded Iris, their IPA is actually really good. The home style.
Yeah.
It's good. It's got that whole grapefruit, tropical fruit kind of thing going.
Yeah.
It's not like a hop fest in your mouth.
Yeah.
Single best piece of advice you've ever been given. I imagine it might come from your dad, but I could be wrong.
It is my dad. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Interesting.
But isn't that,
there's a lot of ways for your brain to just take that.
Especially over the years. Well, it's kind of, it makes sense to me now. Over the years, it's that's too good to be true. and you got a good thing going.
Right. Don't be greedy.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's mine.
Sounds like a smart man. How often do you talk to him?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I only hope I can have that relationship with my boys. I'm working on it.
So, my folks, again, I feel like I'm a granddad.
You're an old soul.
But my folks live down the road, so my life is everyone loves Raymond.
I was about to say it sounds like everybody loves Raymond, but you enjoy when they come over.
Most of the time. But and my wife, hell, she might leave me for this. I don't know. But the back of our house is mostly windows, kind of like the shop where we're at now.
Right.
And for whatever reason, which is I can't explain, she's completely naked, walking through like the living area / kitchen, and she looks over and my dad's peering in the window. And so she turns around, and runs, puts a towel on or whatever.
Immediately calls the local blind store.
Yeah, well, no. But, she goes and answers the door, and my dad's like, I didn't see anything. And I'm sure she didn't say it, but I'll say it. She was like, bullshit. But anyway, but we talk all the time.
Yeah. It's great that you have him to lean on, though.
Oh, yeah. And my wife and my mom, and me talk all the time. But, yeah, it's, I don't know. To me, as a parent, it's the only way to be.
Yeah.
It's actually why I chose not to work for him. It's because I want to be friends.
Yeah.
And not,
muddy the waters.
Yeah.
If you had any advice to give anybody that wanted to go into business for themselves, what would it be?
Man, that's a hard one. Because, one, there's nothing like working for yourself. But, two, there's nothing like working for yourself. Like, it's all in your hands.
Yeah, it's scary when you're used to drawing a paycheck from someone and then you realize that you are the paycheck creator.
Yeah, and like we talked about earlier, like when you're at a job, you get to walk away. When you own it, you wake up in the middle of the night, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, is
think about work.
Yeah. That being said, I'm looking at starting more stuff.
Look at you. Care to tell me what it is?
But we don't want to talk about that on the air. I'll tell you about it off the air.
And with that, we're going to say goodbye. Scott, I appreciate your time, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, bro. Now that this podcast is over, you've got the hard part of waiting another week until the next episode drops. However, if you would like to be a sponsor, or you are a business or a person that would like to get involved with this podcast and the success of it, feel free to email me at alex@alexbelew.com. That's alex@alexbelew.com. It doesn't cost as much as you think, and you may reach some people that you've never met before. Appreciate it.